long story down the line, you know, I started growing into, I got a gear curious and started trying different brands. And
we all do.
That's right. I went from everything from Glock to SIG to staccatos to
staccatos.
That thing was nice though. Then I kind of decided to give the opportunity to Beretta back again after being really jaded by them.
Oh man! So, see, listeners, look, this is what happens when you don't have kids. You have staccato money now, right? You got Beretta money, you know,
right. Like LTT money with RDO slides.
For real, yeah. That's I awesome.
Jokingly say that all my friends that have kids are broke, so I jokingly say that, But yeah, as far as like our gun, our evolution in shooting and skills that we learn and such, to bring it back to like the red dots and irons, Miko's has been, you've been shooting, like I said, for 3 years. That's all you've been shooting and competing with is red dots.
With red dots, yeah.
And like I said, for me, it's always been irons. So what do you expect out of the iron? What are your expectations from shooting irons? What do you expect out of that?
Yeah, so when I left irons to go to to red dots, like I'm talking like matches, training, practice, everything was for red dots, and I really just I'd always dreaded having to shoot the red dots because I kind of suck at them. When I came from red dots when I came from irons to red dots, when I first started trying red dots, and then I finally decided, okay, this is what I'm going to carry. I think that there's stuff that I know now in the last 2 or 3 years. There's stuff I know now about not just the way that sights work, but also the way that my hands interact with guns. And, I didn't know that stuff back when I transitioned over to red dots. So, like, for instance, going back to the SIG P226, I saw a weird phenomenon when I was using that gun. My shots were placing to the right. If it was to the left, it was like, okay, well,
trigger press,
right? Of course. Well, why would it be going to the right? Well, it took me a while, but the way my hand was gripping the gun was a little too fat for me, and so I didn't get enough finger on it. And here's the crazy thing about it: you would think that would push the gun to the left,
right? You would think that that makes sense. I would think that.
But what was happening was my grip was subconsciously adjusting through the trigger press
and driving the gun.
Yeah, so it wasn't like I pushed the shot left; it was that it came back to the right.
Oh,
so if I hadn't made my subconscious adjustments, the point of impact would have gone to the left because that was where my finger pressed it. But at the same time as I was pushing the trigger left, I was pushing the gun right, and then when the shot broke, it just returned back to the right where it would have been.
Okay.
So, it's just.
Did you discover that because of the red dot?
I discovered it because of red dots.
Very good.
Because when I had that gun, when I first picked up that gun, I had it with irons. The gun came with irons. It was a P226 TAC Ops.
I remember that one.
Yeah, and beautiful TFO, a True Glow TFO sights.
Yeah.
But the shots were going to the right, and it was perplexing me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well maybe when I pick up this red dot, because you can go to the SIG's website and you could buy a P226 slide with a Romeo 1 already installed.
I remember that.
Yeah, it'll come mounted on the gun. You don't even have to put it on yourself. So, I was thinking, okay, well, once I get this new red dot in, I could just give it a couple clicks to the right, and that ought to fix it, right? Well, when I was able to see my point of impact change with the dot, and that was input that I would have never gotten from anybody else. Like, who would have thought that was what was going on with the gun?
I think I probably would have, if me as an instructor side of me would have said, oh, you're probably not using your support hand properly to get a good positive grip because it's allowing the gun to move, right?
Uh-huh.
So
yeah.
that would be my first deduction, I think.
That was my first thought as well. Or maybe I was putting too much finger into it. Well, that wasn't it, because, from what I could perceive, that was as much of my pad as I can get on there.
Right.
So, I even tried, going to the E2 grips. I tried the smaller grips.
The thinner E2s. Those are nice, actually.
Those are nice, yeah.
I wish I'd have done that when I had that 226 Mark 25.
Oh, man.
That gun would
think that would be nice.
shoot lights out. It's just my hands were, like I said, I have dwarf hands, so they just would not reach the trigger properly, and I wasn't actually able to develop a proper grip on the gun.
Yeah.
Now I could shoot it at the range. It's a range gun,
Yeah.
but it would never be my carry gun. It could never be my carry gun because of that.
That thing's thick, you know.
Yeah.
It's just that's why they made the E2 grips, because they would give them to, you know, it made its way to the, you know, to the law enforcement side, and you know, they would give it to people, they would give it to recruits and to officers that had small hands, and they just weren't able to run the gun well. So, you know, and it's a whole lot of gun too. It's top heavy.
Yeah, and it's got a high bore axis, and then you got. It feels like you're holding a tree trunk.
Yeah, that's what it would have felt like. So it's like, okay, well, but I love the gun. It was a beautiful gun, and it shot so smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the action was gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, and it's bomb-proof. It's reliable. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll agree with that. I mean, it's proven. It's
Yeah.
a proven weapon system,
definitely
right?
proven.
It's definitely a proven weapon system. and
Yeah,
everything.
over 40 years of service. So, so I was like, okay, well, you know, that was one lesson that I learned from Red Dots that I probably would never have gotten from irons. And now, having dealt with, you know, a lot of students that had unique problems, and, you know, there's one thing that I'm really kind of dealing with right now is folks with progressive lenses.
Oh, yeah, bifocals and trifocals.
No, not even that, just progressive. Like, depending on how you tilt your head, it'll, you know, like there's more
For
of
like near side, far side.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I got
So what'll happen is, you know, if they're focused off in the distance, the head will be a little forward down. And if they had to read something up close, they would have to pick their head up, because, you know, the focal plane would change depending on your angle, the angle of your eyes. Yeah.
Okay.
So when they're using iron sights, their head, you could see their head kind of change angle,
Because they're trying to
because
see a target, then see the sights.
yeah, they're trying to find that sweet spot.